Drawing scientific diagrams, part 1. So, aside from your studies into things like forces in Year 7 science, you also need to be looking at things like scientific skills. So, this is things like relating to experiments in the lab, how scientists conduct experiments, how they write reports, all that sort of stuff. And one of the skills includes knowing how to draw scientific equipment. Okay, things that you find in a typical science lab. So this is part 1. There's going to be other parts because I don't really want to spend too much time in each video drawing stuff. But in a nutshell, we use scientific diagrams because it's just easier to draw things that way. We don't have all day to draw things like this that you can see here. It just takes a lot of time. Okay, so it saves a lot of time just by drawing sketches. And now these diagrams I'm about to draw, these are pretty much universally recognized all over the world. There might be some differences, slight differences in the way things are drawn, but this is the general idea. So with scientific diagrams, you must use pencil and a ruler. Now, I'm not using a pencil and ruler. Okay, I'm obviously using my device, but you should be using a pencil and ruler at all times. Just to help with neatness, and also teaches you how to make corrections in case you make mistakes. So in an exam conditions, if you use a pen instead of a pencil, you lose marks, okay? So follow my lead and draw carefully what I'm about to draw. This thing here is called a beaker. Beakers are commonly used to carry liquids in a lab. And the way you draw a beaker, so we use two-dimensional images to draw scientific diagrams. We're not going to be using 3D. 3D takes forever. So because there's like a spout here, we do like a line, little line coming out. And then straight down, so your diagram is going to be way better than mine. Flat, and then back up. Okay, and these are straight lines. These should be straight lines. This is called a beaker. It's quite simple. Okay, but just using lines here. I'm not going to be showing any of this stuff here or the curve there. Nice and simple. And that's the spout there, okay, that I drew there. That's your beaker. So you can stop and pause anytime, just so you can draw it, but I'll move on now. Next, you have what's called a measuring cylinder. This is way more accurate than a beaker because it's got a lot of markings here, okay? Versus this, if we go back up here, there's not many markings here, but there's way more here, so it gets more accurate, okay, in terms of measurements. So measuring cylinders carry liquids, but they also help measure how much of a liquid you have. So here's how you draw a measuring cylinder. You've got a spout there, I don't know if you can see it. Little spout coming out, and then it goes straight down like a tube. It's flat there, and it goes all the way up. Okay, my drawings are horrible. Okay, but you get the idea, I'm sure. So straight up like that. And then here, it goes like that, like a trapezium. Okay, trapezium looks like that. And then you've got markings over here, so I'll do the markings like that, okay? Now, how many markings do you do? As many as you like, but don't obviously overdo it and don't underdo it. So just as many as you can, okay, like that. And that's called a measuring cylinder. Okay, measures liquids. Okay, cylinder because it's shaped like a cylinder, okay. Next, this is called a test tube. I'm sure you've seen test tubes everywhere. Things like TV shows, movies, and all that. Test tubes are very simple to draw. They've got like a spout on both ends. Now, sometimes they'll draw it with one spout. I'm going to draw it with two spouts. It's perfectly acceptable, so it's like that. Now it's curved on the bottom, all the way back up, and then open there, okay? Just to note as well, all the things that I'm drawing now, like the test tube, measuring cylinder, and beaker, they're all open on the top here, okay? There's no lid. And it's curved here, the top of the curve there, right there. This is called a test tube. It's basically a tube. Next, this is called a conical flask. Okay, this thing's used for mixing, heating, and even storing liquids. Okay, they're very stable. They're better than things like beakers and test tubes because they've got a wide base here, okay, and a narrow neck, so they can trap liquids to reduce any spills or accidents. And the way you draw a conical flask, just by looking at it, it's got a spout on both ends. So there's one there and there's one there. Here's what I'll do. So like this, and then it comes back in. That's the neck of it. And then it comes out. Now sometimes they'll show a curve on the bottom or a straight line, I'm going to show a curve, okay, because it curves out a bit, slight curve, and then back up, okay? So that's the base there, yeah? And the neck's there, and the opening's there. Okay, it's called a conical flask. It's used to store liquids, okay, to mix liquids too. It's very stable, helps reduce spills because of its wide base, like I said, and the narrow neck. Then you have a tripod. Now, think of the word tri. A triangle's got 3 sides. There are 3 sides to this, okay? It's a triangle. It's got 3 legs as well. I usually draw 2 legs. So a tripod, looking side on. So all of these images I'm drawing now, there's pictures. These are all looking side on, okay? It's not a bird's eye view looking from above. It's looking from the side, like that. Now with tripods, you've got a flat line there because if you were to rotate it this way, it'll look flat, yeah, this bit here. And one of the legs will be hiding behind the other one of the other legs too. So like that, okay? And one of the legs that I haven't drawn, because there's 3 legs, it's behind, let's say, this leg there, okay? It's just simple to draw instead of drawing 3 legs. But that's your tripod there. Remember, tri means 3. It's got 3 sides, it's got 3 legs. Then you have what's called a gauze mat. This is a steel mesh, basically, like a square. Now, if you look at this side on, okay, it's going to look like a straight line. Or another acceptable way to draw it, straight line with zigzags. Okay, it's basically mesh. It's got zigzags along it. It's called a gauze mat, and this is used to hold things. This usually sits on top of the tripod. So you have the tripod there, and you have the gauze mat on top. That's how you draw it, and that holds things like beakers. Okay, so that's what it's used for. Then we have a retort stand with a boss head and clamp. Now, this thing can get a bit tricky to draw, so I'll do it step by step. Okay, so this top here is really long. Okay, the way we draw it is just a bit of the top there. Okay, it's like a rectangle. And then there's this bit here. It's basically a box like this. And there's part of it sticking out like this. And then you have like a rectangle here. From very far, it looks like a rectangle. So you've got the tube bit here, that metal rod. And then this bit here is like a rectangle, so it's like that. And then there's the claws, the clamp that's sticking out. So we draw a little circle like that, a little curve, I should say. Remember, these things are all joined, but my pen isn't letting me for some reason join them. Like that. I'm sure you get the idea. That's the first upper half here. So you've got the rod there, that bit. You've got this bit sticking out there. And then you have a box here, which is that. And then part of the rod, which is the rectangle bit here. That's the clamp bit. So the clamp is there. And you've got like the claws coming out, represented by that. Okay, so I'll zoom in here just quickly. This thing here is called the clamp. And that thing here is called the boss head. Okay. Let's continue on. So you've got the rest of the rod going all the way down, like that. And then the base, side on, it looks like a rectangle, okay? Like that. Okay, this is called a retort stand. Boss head and clamp. There's a few more to go. This thing here is called a heat pad. Okay, it's used to hold things like a Bunsen burner on the bench, on a lab bench. It protects the bench, okay, from overheating. It's quite simply like this. It's basically a rectangle. Okay, it's a heat-proof mat. Okay, on top of it sits like a Bunsen burner. But anyway, so this next piece of equipment is called an evaporating basin. Basically, if you were to put things like something like seawater inside it and heat it up using a Bunsen burner, the water will evaporate if you do it correctly, and you're left behind with like salt and other stuff. So it evaporates things. It causes things to go from liquid to gas. And here's how you draw it. It's basically like a bowl. It's like that. Okay, and that's called an evaporating basin. And lucky last, Bunsen burner. This is used to heat things in a lab, okay? It's used all over the world. It's so common, so versatile, very useful. So here, this is called the barrel of the Bunsen. Think of a barrel of a gun, the long pointy bit. And then here, you've got the collar. Okay, we use a rectangle to represent it. Now the collar has a hole in it, so we put a hole there. There's a hole there, okay? And then you've got the gas pipe there. So that goes like that. Okay, that goes, that's basically the gas hose. Okay, so that goes all the way to the gas source. And then you've got finally the base of the Bunsen, and that's represented by a rectangle. Okay, and that's called a Bunsen burner. And I'll stop there for this video for part 1.